I really believed, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, this season he is seeming like a different person. No, he's exactly the person we thought he was.
Same guy. It's like God's couple. I don't like it's just like the picture of heterosexuality.
Hi, we're Julie and Kelly, and we're here to find love. Today, we're doing a Bachelor in Paradise 2022 recap, Season 8, Week 5. In this week's 2 episodes, it was focused on the return of the girls. We see a lot of people having uncomfortable conversations on the beach with plenty of tears and happy reunions. But through all of this, it raises the question, how do we let people down with grace and without being a jerk? So we'll go into each of the breakups as well as the Victoria and Johnny situation. Let's start off with Monday's super dramatic reunion of Lace and Rodney.
I mean, they really built it up very dramatically, the Lace and Rodney breakup, but to me, it didn't feel like there was, too much to do. It seemed like a very straightforward, cut and dry situation. Like, he just met someone else that was a better match for him. It's hard for me to really analyze it because I don't really know how strong their relationship had been, Lace and Rodney. Like, we kind of just saw the start where they first kissed, but we never really saw their conversations after that. So I'm not sure if it was supposed to be like they had told each other they were exclusively dating each other or anything like that. So it's hard for me to really know how to react to the situation. But as far as we know, it seemed like, yeah, they were hanging out and casually, spending all their time together, but it didn't seem like they had seriously locked in. And so, I don't know, he met someone else that he had a better connection with. So to me, it just seemed like it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I thought the same thing as well. It felt more like Lace's insecurities took center stage. It wasn't about the depth of their emotion to each other and more like what Lace imagined the relationship could be and her getting so in her head about it. I'm glad that Rodney, let her down immediately as soon as he saw her on the beach and then she went home, because I just don't think that she could have handled another day on the beach. Her anxiety was literally eating her alive.
It is really hard. Obviously, it's really intense to kind of go up to the guy that you've been seeing and he's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you or with our relationship. I just literally liked somebody more than you. That is...
Yeah, can't change that.
I mean, it's it hurts, and I get why that would be very hurtful to Lace, but Lace she also handled it really well. They made it seem like she was going to be Hurricane Lace, she was going to come in hot and blow things up or something, but she was actually seemed very, she was so sad, but she didn't try to make it seem like Rodney had wronged her. She didn't really make it seem like I'm broken, that's why no one's gonna ever love me. She didn't go in that direction. She was just kind of I'm really sad, I'm tired, I need to go home, and she went home. And so I think that was a pretty good, it's you can be sad while also not blaming the other person and not blaming yourself. It's just kind of an unfortunate situation, and that's really all it is.
Dude, I totally agree. And I felt like Rodney handled it the best way. He was honest to the other person. He let himself be sad about it, but then he was like, here's this another connection that I found that's actually really incredible, and I have a lot of fun with her.
Yeah, I think they were a good example of a breakup well delivered.
Oh, yeah.
And a breakup well handled for the person who was being dumped.
Yes.
And so I
can't say that for all the couples, but it was
exactly. It's that's the example of 2 people who did it right. Now let's talk about all the other breakups that happened in the second episode, because a lot of them went less than ideal.
In between when all of this was happening, we see Logan and Kate canoodling. They just both give off really, really bad energy to me. The way that they were just I don't know, I know they have a connection, but they were kind of speaking negatively about Shanae the entire time. And when Shanae came back on the beach, that to me was an indication of how poorly he handled the whole situation. And it kind of reminded me of how he handled it with Sarah as well. Logan is exactly the person I thought he was from Gabby and Rachel's season. For a second, I thought maybe it's editing. Maybe he's not this bad. Maybe he just doesn't understand relationships. But no, he's a really crappy person to be in relationship with. It wasn't good how he sat Shanae down and then basically blamed her for everything he did. You kissed other guys. You did this. You flaunted this in front of me. How could I not explore something else with someone else?
Yeah.
That was beyond shitty.
That was awful. I really, really hated how he handled that. It felt like he moved on and found another person, which is fine. But then instead of just being upfront and just saying like, hey, I liked this other person more, like Rodney did, instead of just being upfront about that, he instead turned it into, it's your fault. You're the reason I moved on. You're the reason that I'm leaving. And like,
I was shook.
I was like, Logan, what the heck? Like, just say the truth, which is that you found another person that you liked more, period. Why are you trying to turn it into like, oh, well, you made me watch you make out with all these other people? Like, where was all of that before when you were begging her for her rose? Like, literally a week ago when she was making the decision between you and James, you were all in on her. Oh my gosh, you were like fighting for her and trying to show her how much you care, yada, 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 all of that stuff. And it's like, so you were super down and made it seem like you were all googly-eyed over her when there was a rose at stake. But as soon as there's another girl in the picture, it's like, oh, I was actually mad at you the whole time. It's like, okay. Oh, it reminded me actually of when he was on Gabby and Rachel's season. He kept taking Rachel's roses, like when he was already interested in Gabby. To me, it felt like the same thing. It's like, you clearly will just talk, do whatever you need to do to stick around, do whatever you need to do to, you know, get to the next week, do whatever you need to do to get the thing that you want in this current moment. He seems like the kind of guy who's just blown around. He's like so unanchored in anything. He's just blown around by the wind. It feels like
I love that analogy.
Right?
Because Logan is so big, but you're right. His personality himself, he's just so like all over the place, and you're so correct in how he handled Gabby and Rachel. I really believed, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, this season he is seeming like a different person. No, he's exactly the person we thought he was.
Same guy.
And it was so badly how he handled that breakup that it made me feel bad for Shanae, a woman I've never felt bad for my entire life. I have really been critical of everything Shanae represents, but to see him it's not like he gaslit her, because I don't like that term being thrown around, but it's like he just completely turned it around on her and was like, you forced me to kiss another girl because of your behavior and how you were acting. How could you imagine me being single and committing to you when you did all of these things before that I was secretly holding a tally with, and now I'm gonna get you back for all of these things, and the other person's empathetic, you're not. See ya.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, Logan. In this conversation about how do you let someone down, how do you turn someone down, reject them, break up with them with grace, it's like, you don't need to come up with excuses and reasons for why you're breaking up with them. That's like, well, you suck in these ways and that's why I'm justified in breaking up with you. You can just say like, hey, I liked someone else, period. You don't need to make up all of this stuff about why your relationship wasn't working, because the truth is, if Kate didn't show up, he would have been happily dating Shanae. Like, let's be real. Like, if he didn't have another girl that he was into, he didn't have any problems with how things were going with Shanae. Prior to those girls walking down, he was saying in his little talking heads, well, I really love what's going with Shanae. I think things are going really well with her. And so I don't know if I should explore these other connections. I mean, I know what the right thing is to do, but then what am I going to do? So clearly he knew that he was committed to Shanae. At that point, he was really interested in her. So we know that by the time of this breakup, he was basically just making shit up or trying to deflect and make himself look good and make her look bad so he wouldn't have to feel guilty for breaking up with her. And that's the thing. It's like, good heavens. Like, stop trying to make yourself look like the good guy. If you just be real with people, look out for people, make sure they're okay, make sure you're okay. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Like, why are you out here trying to make up a whole story to make yourself look good? You don't need the whole story.
He couldn't accept his actions, therefore, him being the most eligible person on the beach, I just don't see it. Because to be a person that has all of these people chasing after you,
oh my gosh,
at least be like an amazing dater, at least be kind to people, at least own up to your actions. He did absolutely none of that, and he came off super manipulative. And I also just don't know if I really like Kate for how she just immediately... She's such a pick-me girl. Like, she just wants to be chosen so badly and have it mean something about her that it was really frustrating for her to be like, well, Shanae's not a good person, so I'm allowed to feel good about this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just felt so weird to me.
There was so much... I mean, I did not like Kate at all in these last 2 episodes. It was, to your point, it was giving, like, a lot of mean girl energy. I mean, she said this directly. She was like, I feel like a little bit sadistic. I was like...
She was.
Keep that inside, girl. It's not cute. Like, I don't know why you're saying that to the camera. To me, it was, like, as bad as when Shanae said to the camera, like, of course I'm lying. I'm not sorry to those bitches. Like, when Shanae said all that to the camera. It was like, Shanae, keep that to yourself. I don't know why people think that they can just, like, if they're, like, proud of their bad actions, it, like, excuses them. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. No. Like, to me, what this felt like was... We knew that Shanae and Logan both were kind of just like shitty airheads from their respective seasons. We knew this about them when they came down to the beach. That's why they were brought to the beach, right? Of course, producers brought them here because they knew that these are 2 really messy people and they wanted to see the drama happen. And, you know, we had this whole conversation at the start of this season, or maybe it was last season during the Men Tell All, this whole conversation about, like, there's always this weird redemption arc thing that they try to do on Paradise where they bring back villains to try to see if they've changed or if, you know, they can have a different kind of storyline, right? And Shanae has been getting that whole redemption arc this whole season. I've actually seen on Twitter a lot of people are like, Shanae's like, I'm actually rooting for Shanae.
I cannot believe it, Kelly. It honestly baffles me when I see that.
Well, the funny thing about it is, I mean... I don't think she handled the breakup well either, right? I think that she was also being pretty hypocritical, right? She came in like, I can't believe that you are dating another woman right in front of me, or you, like, moved on or are exploring other things in front of me. And it's like, you definitely were exploring your options when you were over at the hotel. You went on the dates with Tyler. You were trying to have sex with him. When you were on the beach, you were dating James right in front of Logan. And so, like, I do think that Shanae was being very hypocritical. Not that I think that that's an excuse for the way everyone else was treating her. But to me, what this felt like, I think Shanae, I don't know why everyone was has been acting like Shanae has changed. Because to me, it does seem like she's being just as hypocritical and kind of, like, selective. Like, she, like... Things are okay when she does it, but they're not okay when other people do it. Like, just like in her own world. I think Shanae's the same person that she's been. Logan's the same person that he's been. They've both come to the beach, brought their bad behavior, and I kind of think that it's tainting everyone around them. It's like, now Kate's like, well, she's a mean girl, so I'm going to be mean to her. You see the little peanut gallery, like, kind of watching this whole drama unfold. Everyone's, like, yelling and heckling. Gross. Like, everyone's, like, you see Danielle over there, like, hey, like, we couldn't hear the first conversation. Say it louder. I'm like, Danielle, you don't even know Shanae. Why are you yelling at her? Like, it was like, I just didn't understand. Like, it felt like these 2 brought this, like, mean energy to the beach, and everyone else was like, well, if they suck, we can suck too. And it's like, it feels like it's like this, like, race to the bottom where everyone is just now just being awful to each other. And so, I don't know. This is why I hate this whole redemption arc thing. It's like, redemptions... We've said this before, redemptions make sense if people actually have apologized and have committed to change and are changing. It doesn't work when it's like someone who was like Shanae or like Logan. Neither of them apologized on their seasons. They came here. Neither of them seemed sorry about what they did on their seasons. They had no intentions to change, and so they just repeated their behavior. And now it's just making everything worse. It's like making everybody worse. I like judge everyone who's dated them. I judge everyone who's like Genevieve becoming friends with Shanae. I kind of feel like Genevieve has become more dramatic over the course of the season, and I'm kind of like, I wonder if this is coming from her friendship with Shanae. Like, anyways.
Yeah, I fully agree with that too. The biggest takeaway that I got from this entire dynamic was like attracts like, and for Shanae to be, I mean, it's like if Logan just simply was honest, then Shanae would have painted herself into a corner. She would have had to admit, this is what I did of Tyler, this is the dates I went on, these are the kind of actions I took. But instead, Logan shot himself in the foot by immediately blaming her, immediately trying to be the good guy and painting himself as this person that was like, well, you kind of forced me to do this. That it made Shanae look good, and it takes a lot to make a person like Shanae look good, because she is so... I mean, outside of her just being, you know, this weird caricature of this, like, TV show villain, she just has a really bad grip on, like, regulating and handling her emotions. Like,
Right.
as soon as she became vulnerable, she became mean, she became spiteful, she kind of lashed out, she was really volatile, and that speaks to her pattern in Clayton's season as well. So to be on Shanae's bad side is to get her upset, and that's not good to be with a person that you have to walk on eggshells with. So I see why Logan backed away from it, but I wish he was more honest about how it went down, and he just was a little bit more gracious to her. He would have came off a lot better, but he didn't, and that's why they were together.
I mean,
that's
you're
what
right.
I fully believe.
It's like attracts like. They both just like kind of suck, and so I'm not surprised
They're the worst.
that they were. I kind of wanted them to actually stay together, because then they would kind of like remove themselves from the dating pool and stop bothering the other people. But to be honest, Kate seems just as mean and bad as Shanae. I actually feel like if Kate had showed up on the beach first instead of Shanae, I think that Logan and Kate would have hit it off. And then if Shanae was like the other woman who came down, Logan would have done the same thing. He would have moved from Kate to Shanae.
You're right.
Like, I don't think it actually mattered which one. I think it was just like whichever one came later was the one that he was gonna date, because he just floats around, right? He just whatever shiny things in front of him, he's gonna go after, right? And so it didn't even feel very specific to Shanae or to Kate. Like, it was just kind of like, girl, like with Sarah, it's like, hot girl asked me out, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, he just seems so unattached to anything. Right now he's saying like, oh, I'm so into Kate, but I'm like, okay, let's whatever. Like,
I just don't see that relationship working out. If they get engaged, I mean, there's no way they're going to get engaged, so I'm not going to make any bets on this channel right now. You're absolutely right. If it didn't matter which girl it was, it will always be another girl, and it will always catch Logan. It will always catch, like, his eye, and it will have him chasing her no matter what. That's the kind of dude he is.
And then he'll be like, but I was following my heart, so...
Right.
And it's like, all right.
That's so annoying. I hate when people use that excuse to be an instant gratification person. It's like, just admit that you just want the shiniest, like, sweetest thing in the moment.
The newest, shiniest, sweetest thing in the moment. Exactly. That's exactly what Logan represents. And it's like, honestly, I kind of feel like him and Shanae are great.
I know. I want them to get back together. They need to just date themselves out of the dating pool.
Exactly.
Just lift themselves right.
That's how I felt too. But whatever. I mean, as always, we always wish the best for everyone. We want everyone to, like, learn from their actions. The only reason that I'm kind of going in hard on these two is because they have shown no interest in change, growth, accountability. And it's like, you can't really do anything with people like that. It's like, if people have no interest in growing and no interest in changing, no interest in, you know, taking stock of the ways their actions are negatively impacting other people and adjusting those behaviors. Like, if you have no interest in that, then it's like, I don't know how to root for you. I don't know how to, like, defend you. I felt bad for Shanae, too, in this situation. I thought everyone was being so mean to her, and then I was kind of like, why? Well, everyone's being mean to her because she has been so shitty to everyone else. Because if it was Serene in that situation, I don't think everyone would have been heckling from the peanut gallery if it was Serene or, you know, someone who has been sweet to everyone. It's like people were heckling and being mean to her because it was Shanae. And that's what I mean. It's like mean energy begets mean energy.
Okay, so the question, do you guys feel bad for Shanae? And how do you think Logan handled that whole breakup? Because... yeah, that was bad. That was really bad to watch. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. We're two dating coaches who analyze the relationship psychology and dating themes in reality TV shows, especially Bachelor shows, like Bachelor in Paradise. So if you're into this kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button to follow along and join the conversation. Let's move on to Jacob. Now, Jacob was an example of being super honest to Jill about everything he did with Kate and about how he felt about, I don't know, their whole relationship. But I started to think, now you're being a little bit too honest, and you're sharing too much of your truth, and there are things people don't have to know. Like, he literally told Jill, your personality just doesn't work for me. That was wild. This was a girl in bed, clutching her crystals, praying over this man, talking to anyone about this guy, and he literally said, I just don't like you, and there's nothing you can do to change. I am unattached. I don't want to be with you.
Well, I mean, it is particularly so harsh because it wasn't even like he had another girl that he was dating instead of her. He was just like, I just don't like you. Like, everything happened. All of this stuff happened here in the last couple of days that just made me realize, like, while you were away and nowhere near me, I just realized I don't like you. Like, it just came to me. And that's just...
Oh, my gosh.
That's rough. And so there's almost no nice way to say that. But what... To me, honestly, with these two, I just kind of feel like I don't understand how Jill had got it into her head that she and Jacob were a secure couple. I just don't know how she got it into her head, because to me this feels like something, again, it's like from 30 miles away, you could see that he wasn't that into her, you know, prior to the split even happening.
Ooh, but do tell, because I wonder how other people could spot it, because I mean, I could see it too, but Jill was so clouded by her infatuation.
To me, it just seemed like he was dating her because there was no other options, and, you know, this was like when the girls had the roses, right? And it was kind of like he, you know, all the guys were like desperate for roses at that week. And, you know, he went on that date with her, and on that date, it was like a healer led this ritual for them. And the healer was like asking them all these questions that were like, what do you like most about each other? And Jill was saying, I can't remember what she said. She was like, I think it was like, how safe you make me feel, or how well we get along. It was something about their like relationship and dynamic. And he was like, her ass. Like, he said something so just like about her body, and which is nice that he likes her butt, but like, it was just kind of, to me, it felt so obvious that like she was really feeling him, and he was just like feeling the moment, you know, and he was just kind of, you know, she was the girl he liked the most out of the girls there, but not because he particularly liked her as a person. And so it's really hard, you know, it's obviously so hard to be able to extricate those two things, being able to tell if someone really likes you or if they are just kind of going along with the relationship just because, you know, it's just like a good way to enter, like there's no one else, and so if there's no one else, I will date you. Like, hard to really sit with that, but it seemed pretty evident that that was where Jacob was, just based on the nature of their conversations and their dynamics. And Jacob and Jill were on the beach together for a very long time, and Jacob like made out with and dated like 8 other people before he came around to dating Jill. And to me, that just was giving like, okay, he's kind of like exhausted all of his other options before he decided like, okay, I guess I'll date Jill. Like, that to me is just like a good signal that like, yeah, he's probably not that into you. Like, maybe he enjoys your company and he's down to date you for now. But the way that she was so convinced that they were this locked in secure couple, and that, you know, she was like crying over him. Chill, like, be realistic. You should not trust people and give them such a hold over your well-being when you don't know them that well yet, and when you actually haven't been given any reason to believe that they are going to come through for you. And she had even said to the camera several times, like, he's a guy, of course he's gonna go for it. It's like, so you don't trust him, you know that you don't trust him, and you know that he is not trustworthy, and yet you're still attaching your sense of wholeness to him. It's not that I'm justifying Jacob's actions, because I'm not. I also think that, frankly, he was leading her on, right? The like, prior to these other women coming, he was acting like he was really into her, or he kind of like was going through the motions of being really into her. So I do think that he shouldn't have gone through those motions. There should have been more clear that he was just spending time with her to pass time. I think he could have been more clear with that, so she wouldn't have been so confused. And at the same time, I think Jill, should have been a little bit more perceptive and just aware, as opposed to letting that hopeful thinking kind of take over. Because I think sometimes you want someone to like you so much, and you just let that hope kind of take over your more rational part of your brain that should be able to recognize that, hey, like, this guy is really not giving me any signals that he's actually super into me.
I mean, you made so many good points, and I think the biggest one is that Jill, I think, was able to understand. I mean, she said it herself when she was in the car going home. He sold his couch for money. Like, she understood that he wasn't a man that she could really create this future with, that he was someone that is, like, a little bit still figuring things out, and that might relate to how he chooses his romantic partners. But to me, like, it felt like the reason why she was still generalizing Jacob, and she was still being like, well, men are like this, so that means I can't expect anything out of him, was because of how much she didn't know him, and she didn't make that connection of, like, if I'm judging him on a stereotype, this means that I don't know anything about him, his dating patterns, how he'll really treat me, these, like, days and weeks of us being a couple, and how much I can really trust him. And it was a really good example of, like, yeah, Jill was totally... I think she was also really feeling the moment as well, of just being like, I found a rose. I think I found a connection on Paradise. And he was very go with the flow about any kind of agenda. They latched on to each other. And then Jill was the one that made the mistake of being like, this moment is a feeling. And this feeling is Jacob. And I have to go after Jacob. And I have to, like, have him choose me back. And I need to guarantee myself another week on Paradise, another week of this guy to really get to know him. But I just think she's confusing all of these emotions into him. And I mean, the way that he broke up with her was, once again, a call back from Gabby and Rachel's season. Like, didn't he say something really mean to Gabby?
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
Rough around the edges?
No, that's the guy who's about to come down next week, Hayden, who said the rough around the edges thing. Jacob was like, yeah, well, if it was just you here, I would probably peace out. But also, you're a smoke show.
Yes, that's what he said. Okay, this is another example of these two guys from Gabby and Rachel's season. I genuinely thought editing did you guys wrong, and you guys have so much more complexity than just being these really crappy men that don't know how to handle hard conversations. But he really proved right yet again that he was too honest, and he said something that he didn't need to say. And Joe's feelings got really, really hurt, more than it could have been hurt. I mean, she was already in a world of pain. But he could have been a little bit more gracious and kind of like padding the rejection instead of just throwing her on the deep end and being like, you can fend for yourself. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Anytime you reject someone, there's some information that's not necessary. It's kind of like oversharing. Of course, the reason why you're gonna, break up with someone is because at the end of the day, you don't like them that much. And it's like, that is implied when you reject someone. Like, you don't need to, like, now go in and list all the reasons why you don't like them,
Don't like your personality, don't like your sense of humor. It's like, you can just keep it to, like, the big ideas.
Yeah, big ideas are fine. I do think to some extent, everyone should be a little careful with how quickly they trust people, right? You don't trust people until they give you a reason to trust them.
I do see what you mean about the people earning the trust, because I would say Jacob made absolutely no headway into that at all. He put in no effort, no time, no elbow grease. The man just was simply there on a daybed, and then she would just join him in the day and nap together. He sat next to her for meals. It's not like he had this incredible buy-in with Jill, where he is really working to show himself to be a partner that she could be with. Therefore, he maybe doesn't like you as much as you might like him. It does take reciprocation on both ends. And Joe not spotting that, because I really believe she was just more excited about the idea that she found someone that she was also interested in, that she was attracted to.
Yeah.
She just got her signals all mixed up.
And I think, Jacob is... I feel like my radar for this is now broken. When I say for this, I mean for white dudes. Like, I can't always tell, but I think he's attractive, right? I think people have described Jacob as attractive. I feel like I
don't have the radar for this white stuff for white guys.
Exactly.
I can't tell.
I can't tell, but I think the average person would find Jacob to be very attractive. And so I do also think to some extent maybe Jill was kind of having these like goggles on of just like, oh, attractive Fabio-looking
Tarzan.
guy is dating me,
Right.
and I just really want to make that work. I really want to believe that this is gonna be a thing, even though it's clearly not a thing. People can sometimes be so quick to trust a pretty face, even when they have no evidence that that person should be trusted. And you know, people want to trust people who they like is the other thing. It's like you like someone a lot, so you want to trust them. But it's like just because you like someone doesn't mean that they're trustworthy. I think this is a thing a lot of people fall into this trap. Like when they're dating, it's like they like someone so much, they just want it to work so much that they like kind of, not that they're ignoring red flags, but they ignore signs that that person may not be as invested because they like that person so much. So they just want it to work so much that they just ignore any signs that it's not working. It's like you get these goggles on. You just...
I mean, she's working so hard to be chosen that she's not thinking, do I like him? Does he match what I'm looking for? Is he like this person of these goals I have in mind? Because she's so fixated on, am I pretty enough? Am I funny enough? Am I smart enough? I get there. We've all been there, but it's not the right way to date because we just saw it play out. She got so wrapped up in a funk for no reason. He was literally chilling the entire time. It is honestly painful to watch.
I mean, it's so painful. I mean, I feel bad for her. And also, I think that we got to work on our radars, people. Come on. We all got to work on our radars. We got to be able to take the goggles off. Like, you can like someone and be hopeful while also be grounded in reality. And, you know, take your time before you trust somebody. Even if you really, really, really want it to work, that doesn't mean that you have to, like, attach all of your hopes and dreams and sense of self to that person. It's like, give them a chance to come through for you and to prove that they are worthy of your trust before you just give it to them. Okay, so what did you all think about Jill and Jacob's relationship? Were you all sold on it? Let us know down below.
So Brittany and Andrew, this is the next couple on the beach. They both separately explored things during the twist. Brittany had her whole thing with Tyler, who I think is a better match for her. And then Andrew had his whole thing with Jasenia. At the end of the day, they both decided that they liked the other person better. They came back on the beach, and I thought they both had a really mature conversation about how things went down. It wasn't steeped in all of this heaviness. What did you do? Did you kiss anyone else? It was more like this very light report of, this is what I did, this is who I met, this is how I feel, and I kind of just want to remove ourselves from this relationship and become friends again so that we can explore these other stronger connections.
Yeah.
So to me, that felt like a very, I don't know, the breakup just felt very mutual, and it just didn't feel like a breakup because the situation did not necessitate that. It did not require this detailing. It was really just like, okay, well, we don't like each other that much compared to these people. Peace it. I gotta go.
Exactly. And I appreciate that. They were both being very mature about it. I think it was partially because the two of them were like the newest. They had just kissed once the night before the split happened, so it wasn't like they hadn't even had time to like become a couple. So I do think that they were the least attached of all of the pairs that got split up this week. So it made sense why their breakup kind of went the best of them all. I don't know. I don't like Tyler that much, so it's hard for me to say that I like Brittany and Tyler as a couple, but no, I don't know. I did not really like him that much in Rachel's season, and so...
Oh, I know. You hated how he handled that whole breakup.
I didn't like that breakup, and so I'm having a hard time really knowing how to feel about him dating like my fave girl on the beach other than Victoria.
I do see Brittany and Tyler staying together for a few episodes, at least a little bit, but I don't see them leaving the beach together. I don't know. I just don't think that they're like an incredible match. Whenever she talks about Tyler, she talks about how attractive he is. It's not really about his personality. I think it's more so like the sparkly excitement of just being around someone that you kind of like talking to, and he happens to be really attractive. She is kind of moving up, and she is getting closer to what she's looking for, but she's not there yet. So keep on going, girl.
That's
like,
how I feel too.
Up.
Exactly. Keep leveling up. That's exactly how I feel. Tyler, it's fine to me, but you're right. I just want to see her continue leveling up. I don't know who I want her to date. I don't know if they're on the beach. I don't know. I want more for Brittany than I think what is currently available.
I agree. Well, and this brings us to our favorite girl, the girl on the beach, Victoria Fuller and Johnny. Do you want to take it away?
Where do I even start about these two? Okay. For those of you who don't know, we are Victoria stans here. Man, I love that girl.
Through and through.
She is, not only is she a hot piece of ass, I've loved her energy this season. She's just been so, like level-headed and chill. She's got such hot girl energy too. It's like her energy is hot. It's not only
her skincare is amazing. Like I'm jealous of her skin.
She
like has this glowing, neutral, chaotic feel. Yes, there's so many good things about her.
Neutral, chaotic. That's exactly what she is. I'm like, I love it. And I really wanted her to pair up with Johnny. This was like my dream coming into Paradise this summer. I feel like I manifested it. I dreamed it into
They're a
existence.
good match.
I feel like they're a good match. I kind of thought that they were gonna be more like a summer fling, so it's extremely cute to me that they're like actually into each other. I thought it was just gonna be kind of like chill, hot people hooking up on the beach. Like that was the vibe I was getting from the Johnny Victoria thing, and that was all I expected. But they actually seemed to like really like each other, and this week was so cute. Victoria comes back from the hotel, and Johnny has not been dating anyone. It's so cute. He was like Brandon, just like puttering around waiting for his girl to come back. It was so cute. And then she just last minute decided she wanted to go on a date with Alex, and understandably so. Alex is also very beautiful, like Adonis type looking guy. So, we all get it. And honestly, you see him next to Victoria and you're like, wow, it's like God's couple. It's just like the picture of heterosexuality.
It's sex. It's sex great. Together.
Exactly. So, I get it. I fully get it. But to me, it seems like Victoria and Alex don't even really like each other. It just seemed like Alex is super hot and her age. And then for Alex, he was like, Victoria is the hottest girl here. No one's been talking to me, and Victoria is now talking to me, and therefore I'm interested in Victoria. But they don't seem that interested in each other. Can't see that really going anywhere. Versus we see Victoria return, and Johnny is just, he's turned into putty. He's a puppy dog. I mean, I thought it was so hilariously cute. I mean, he was so mad sitting there watching her talk about Alex. He was so mad watching her talk to Alex. But he was like, I'm so mad because I like her so much. It's because she's so beautiful. She's so hot. All these guys want to ask her out. It makes me so mad. He was like so angry, but it was like all he was saying were these like really sweet things. He's like, I'm so mad, but I still want to try things with her. I was like, Johnny, you're like so. It was so funny to me. I thought it was so endearing, frankly, and honestly, I think Victoria should just date him. He's got the hots for her. He's in deep. He's like, I don't know. To me, it's like that's exactly the energy that I want for Victoria. Someone who just kind of is like worshiping the ground that she walks on, but still has his own self-respect, right? Because he was like, I don't want to be someone's second choice. I want to fight for her, but ultimately I want her to choose me. Like he kind of still had his head about him, but he was just so mad about how much he likes her. So to me it all clicked. I was like, this is great. I mean, they're not communicating the best of all time, but I think that they're a good match. I hope they can get there and make it all click into place, because I think I kind of like what I'm seeing. What did you think, Julie?
What I liked the best was the way that she handled the conversation made her more likable to him, because she was really honest about the fact that she wasn't paying attention to any of the guys, and then she decided, you know what, I am here, I should just explore what else I have going on. And she acknowledged how much she liked Johnny, but she also didn't really like cut any corners about the fact that she was exploring this new thing of this guy named Alex, and that she was going to be like really open to that experience.
Yeah.
Even though it would be really hard for him to see that, I just think it was better. It allowed her to welcome him to the beach, and it wasn't awkward. I mean, it was awkward for everybody, but I think the way that she did it was the least awkward thing of like calling him over, welcoming him in graciously, because it was because of her that he's now on the beach. And I think she does feel that responsibility of choice, and she's like, well, I really want to see it through. And Johnny, I believe, can really show up in a way of, I don't know, like the way that he handles himself will have Victoria either fall for him deeper or push her away and into Alex's arms. So if he can really be like a gentleman and very gracious and understanding while still building their connection, not undermining her, not undermining him, and just really staying focused in his relationship with her, I totally see it being a thing. I totally see them working out and being one of the final couples at the end. It just depends on what they can do for each other, but I have faith. I just have faith anyone will do anything for Victoria, because I would.
That's kind of where he was at. He was like, I'm mad that this is happening. I don't want to have to fight, but I would literally cut off my arm to be with Victoria. Like, that's kind of was his energy. And so I really appreciated it. I thought it was like he was like really like understanding and holding his own, but also like, well, what can I do? I just really like the girl. And it's like, yeah, that's about right. Like, I think, like, correct. Like, that's exactly what your attitude should be. And, you know, what they were talking about, this whole thing about, like, she really wants kids and a family, like, right now, and she really wants to get engaged, versus he was more unsure about that initially, right? He just, like, self-eliminated off of Gabby's season because he felt like he wasn't in the time of his life to get engaged. But then in this episode, he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not afraid to marry Victoria. So that to me signals that he is, like, his feelings for Victoria are strong enough that he's kind of willing to go there, right? It's like he likes her enough that he's like, okay, yeah, like I could kind of do this. I don't think that he communicated that well to her. Like, he was kind of saying it to, like, other people on the beach, but he didn't, at least in the conversations that we saw, he didn't really say that to her very well. He was kind of like, you're trying to see if I'm, like, checking off all your boxes. I was like, Johnny, you need to move on from that. Like, she worded that really poorly. She acknowledged that she worded it poorly, and you need to move on. And he was like, but what's this checklist? What is it that he has that I don't have? I'm like, oh, Johnny, please, like. And so, like, I hope that they're going to get past this whole conversation and, like, get to actually talking about the nitty-gritty, which she was trying to do, to your point. Like, I feel like she's been very good about trying to move the conversation forward. And he's just kind of gotten pouty and in his feelings. He's just like, but I like you so much. Like, isn't love more important? I'm like, oh, Johnny, you're so freaking cute. Just, like, acting like a little 25-year-old. Just want to squish his cheeks.
That's
like,
what I was literally thinking. He just seems so young in that conversation. Like, so young. And to me, I mean, we'll see how he fares with commitment, but that was kind of a showing of, like, oh my God, this is kind of the first time this guy has felt so much towards a woman, or maybe he's allowed himself to be this vulnerable. The way that he was wrestling of these emotions was, to me, like, he wasn't embracing it. He wasn't like, I know I really like her and I know what I want and I'm really gonna work towards it. He was a little bit like, I don't know what to do. I just have these really big emotions and I feel a certain way and I don't know what to do. Like, this back and forth waviness of, like, oh my God, have you been in a situation like this before?
That's the thing, exactly. Like, he did kind of say, I think at one point, maybe this is actually in the first night's episode, he said, I usually, like, don't allow myself to go there and to, like, truly be happy. Like, he kind of said that he, like, pulls away from relationships typically, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. He's, like, in this moment where he, like, kind of wants to pull away. He's like, if she's not gonna be all in for me, I'm out of here. But then he's like, no, but I really want to fight for her. So, like, he's like, you kind of see him having that, like, pull. He's like kind of like almost like fighting against, like, his, like, avoidant tendencies. Like, he has this maybe, like, instinct to leave a relationship when it's going well. Like, I do think that Victoria, to your point, can be won over. Like, it feels like they can very easily talk through this, figure it out, and get to the next stage and lock in. And it's just about like, can they get there? And he needs to fight his instinct that's telling him to run away and like just stay there and be steady for her so that she can feel steady in him, right? And if you could do that, I feel like they could get there. But it's just gonna be a question of like, it's almost like a little dance, because I feel like it's there, but they just have to like nail these next couple conversations and like do it right, you know?
I agree. That's an excellent point. I do feel like, and he will show up for her because he really likes her. I believe that for sure.
I think so
like
too.
He likes her so much that he will overcome his limited conditioning if it is these avoidant tendencies of kind of running when things get really serious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of incredible, right? We all want to be with someone that just wants to be with us so badly that they overcome these
They're like
beliefs
attachment
and
issues.
yes, like literally, he is changing his attachment style because that's what he needs to do to keep Victoria around.
Yeah.
And I believe that the man can do it. So let's see. I have some hope for them.
Let's see. I do too. I hope it works out.
So now that we know that Victoria's in some love triangle, do you think that Victoria and Johnny will make it to the end, or will Alex win her over? Tell us in the comments below.
If you've watched to this point in the video and you aren't subscribed to our channel yet, hit that subscribe button. We do this every single week. We recap every single episode of The Bachelorette, Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, so on. So you should definitely subscribe and follow along.
By the way, I would not be here next week. I'm actually going on a month-long trip to Vietnam, but Kelly will be having a very special guest in the podcast next week. So watch out for their perspective, because I'm absolutely dying to hear what he thinks about this entire franchise and like all of the episodes, all of the couples. I need to know, because me and you, Kelly, are usually on the same page. But I just wonder what he's going to think about these things. So we'll leave it at that, guys. You'll be really excited to see who comes on.
In the meantime, we'll leave a playlist right here of all of our Bachelor in Paradise recaps from this season so far, so you can watch if you've missed any of them, and we will see you next week. Bye!